Hip thrusts, let's talk about it. Let's talk about bench height first. This bench is 12 inches. Seems like it'd be a little bit too short, but it's honestly perfect. I got it off Amazon, I'll try to link it, but what you are looking for is for the bench to be just underneath your shoulder blades. The perfect spot is literally right under your shoulder blade bones. Then, what I'm gonna do is just roll the plate over me. And if you cannot do 135, I highly, highly, highly recommend bumper plates. I'll show you those in a second. From here, foot position is also super important. So sometimes what I see people do is have their feet out in front of them too far. And so when you come up to the top, you end up using more hamstrings than your glutes. Another problem is people bringing their feet back too far. And then you're gonna feel a lot more quads. So the perfect position is when your knee is at a 90-degree angle. When you get to the top, another thing we're gonna look at is your chest movement. One mistake I see people make is when they come up, they're not strong enough to lift with just their hips, so they're not used to that movement. So they use all their power and their might and just flinging the weight up. What I want you to think about is only moving literally from your sternum down. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get to the top, and I am not moving my head, neck, or shoulders. I'm keeping a gaze in front of me. What I wanna talk about is lockout at the top. If you're not locking out at the top, you're not fully contracting your glutes, you're not getting the most out of the exercise that you could be. So when you get to the top, you need to go from here to here. So it may not look like that much, but there's a huge difference in the contraction of your glutes here versus just coming up and down like this, all the way to the top. Now you can either do a dead stop hip thrust where the plates come all the way to the floor, but I would only recommend that if you have a short bench like this. If the bench is too high, then going all the way to the floor causes your back to arch like this at the bottom. So if you have pain in your back with hip thrusts, it could be that your bench is too high and you're trying to come too low at the bottom. When you are doing hip thrusts, imagine that there's a mirror in front of you, and at all times you can see yourself in that mirror. If you get to the top and you're looking like this and you can't see yourself in the mirror, you're doing it wrong. Always be looking forward. When you first start out, you may not be able to lift 135 pounds, and that's totally fine. What I would highly recommend is getting a set of bumper plates. So same width in diameter, so that you can roll the bar over you, but they can weigh anywhere from 10 to 25 pounds. So let's talk about just a regular height bench. I took my bumper plates and stacked them up so that when I get to the top of the hip thrust, I can still have the bench in the right position on my back, just under my shoulder blades. And then when I come up to the top, I can contract and get a nice like tabletop, like knees at a 90-degree angle, glutes contracted all the way up. I'll show you how to get into position using the plates in a higher bench. So no doubt about it, doing hip thrusts are just a giant pain in the ass, but you want to grow your ass. Okay, so all jokes aside, this is going to be the more difficult thing, is to get this weight up, because as you can see, I'm way too low on the bench for it to be the right position. Since I've already got the plates where I want them, I am going to lift up. I'm going to kind of shimmy up into the right position, get my feet in the right position, and from here I can do a really good hip thrust. You can see I'm not going down too low because I don't want to arch my back at the bottom, and I'm getting full contraction at the top.